We were told safety was the highest good. That if the state could protect us, provide for us, and equalize everything, we'd finally have peace. But what happens when safety becomes a substitute for freedom? When the desire to be cared for slowly replaces the will to be courageous. Seneca warned us over 2,000 years ago. He who is brave is free. He didn't mean political freedom. He meant the kind that no government can give or take away, the freedom of the mind. The courage to think, to act, to bear life's burdens without begging for rescue. This is what we lose when socialism becomes a culture, not an economy. Every socialist idea begins with compassion. No one should suffer. Everyone should be secure. Noble words, but noble words often hide dangerous bargains. Because every promise of comfort requires a contract. We will protect you if you give us your autonomy. And so the mind begins to shift. From self-reliance to expectation, from responsibility to entitlement, from discipline to dependency. At first it feels good. You don't have to worry anymore. The system will take care of it. But the cost of comfort is invisible. Your courage begins to atrophy. Your will grows weaker, and the muscle of your mind, built to face difficulty, begins to rot in the warmth of safety. In socialist psychology, success is redefined. Effort no longer determines outcome, distribution does. You stop asking, "What can I achieve?" and start asking, "What am I owed?" It feels compassionate, but psychologically it's destructive. Because when you remove consequence, you remove meaning. When outcomes no longer reflect discipline, life becomes random. And the human soul loses its anchor. Seneca said, "No man is crushed by fate unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." When everything is guaranteed, your spirit forgets how to fight. And the person who cannot fight for themselves eventually demands others fight for them, or worse, control them. The next casualty of socialist culture isn't money, it's moral independence. When the collective defines virtue, disagreement becomes sin, and morality turns into obedience. You don't need to be good, you just need to appear compliant. That's how self-deception begins. People signal compassion instead of living it. They post, march, and chant for moral approval, not truth. They become performers of virtue instead of practitioners of it. The Stoics saw this long before our time. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." And craving approval, whether from the state, the crowd, or the algorithm, is the most desperate poverty of all. True virtue cannot be assigned by policy, It's a daily act of courage, lived when no one's watching. The deeper you sink into a socialist mindset, the more fragile you become. Because safety, once gained, must be protected at all costs, even at the expense of truth. Disagreement becomes violence, risk becomes oppression, and challenge becomes cruelty. Soon the culture begins to worship fragility. It teaches people that discomfort is injustice, and that peace means never being offended, never being challenged, never being wrong. But peace doesn't come from the absence of difficulty. It comes from mastery of it. Seneca's letters remind us, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." When we remove friction from life, we remove growth. We breed softness, not serenity. In a socialist society, the government becomes a parent, wise, benevolent, unquestionable, and citizens become its children. They wait to be told what's right, what's fair, and even what's true. They stop reasoning, they start repeating. And like any child too long protected, they lose the capacity for resilience. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Yet socialist conditioning teaches dependence, emotional, moral, and intellectual. The people are safe, but infantilized. Secure, but subdued. And the nation becomes a nursery, filled with comfortable adults who have forgotten how to grow. Seneca's wisdom cuts through time like a blade. He who is brave is free. Not he who is protected, not he who is provided for, he who is brave. Bravery is not aggression, it's responsibility. It's standing in uncertainty without surrendering your virtue. It's facing hardship without resentment. It's daring to think for yourself when everyone else repeats the same slogans. The Stoic understands, freedom doesn't mean being untouchable, it means being unbreakable. It's not the absence of hardship, it's the mastery of it. You can live in a socialist world, a capitalist world, any world, but if you surrender your courage, you are no longer free in any of them. Because the empire that enslaves the body is rare, but the empire that enslaves the mind is everywhere. So guard your sovereignty, nurture your courage, and never trade your freedom for safety or your mind for comfort. Because Seneca's words still echo through the centuries, he who is brave is free. And if you remember that, truly remember it, no system, no ideology, no promise of comfort will ever own you again. Subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell for the next episode. Thanks for being here with the Stoic Quotient, where ancient strength meets modern life.